Welcome back to Quack Fab. I found the lost footage of how I installed the door poppers and fabricated the housings for them. At first I thought about scrapping it since I already made a video explaining what I did, but honestly, this footage does a stellar job of showing the full process step by step. You'll see exactly how I fabbed the poppers into the door jambs and built the housings from scratch. I covered the general idea in a previous episode, but if you're like me and learn better by seeing rather than just hearing, this clip explains the how and the why way better. Let's get into it.
What's up YouTube? Today on Quack Fab, I'm going to show you how to open your door with the push of a button. Well, not this button, this button. Not only did we suicide the doors on Frankenstein, but we shaved the door handles. So this is going to get fixed. We're going to cut this out and put a new panel in here, because this didn't go in very well. I think we was out of gas when we was welding that one. So I've already got this one mocked up in place as I showed you in the opening, and got the striker in here. We got to do some cleanup in here too, close off all the holes and whatnot, and then I got to close off that hole. But what I'm showing you today is how I got this far, and then we're going to finish them both up. I went to the salvage yard and got a rear hatch popper from a GM 2010-ish, 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever. All of them, the small ones, the big ones, they've all got the same one. There are actually two kinds. This kind does not have the power assist, and it has only 4 wires instead of a whole bundle of wires to tell it how far it's open. So I like the ones without the power assist because they're smaller. Like the other one has a big old motor hanging off the side of it here. So I got this one. It's smaller, fits in the location better. Like as you can see, I had to cut a chunk open so that I could fit it into my pillar here. But I also got the striker, the bolts to go with it, the button out of the hatch, and I'm going to make it all fit in Frankenstein. And as you've seen, it popped it open pretty easy. And all I'm using is a little Milwaukee M12 battery. So it's definitely going to work off a car battery. I am going to wire a relay into that because I don't want it just popping off the button. I want it popping off a relay. There's my relay. This is the stuff that my brother had put in here before. This is how, back in the day, they probably might still use these things, but I had a bad experience. I shaved the doors on a Cavalier I had when I was in my 20s. It was like 20-something years ago. And I put these poppers on it, and it worked great through the summer, but when it got into the winter and the temperature started coming down, I didn't want to pop my door open, and I ended up having to crawl through the back wing window of my Cavalier to get in my car, start it up, warm it up. By the time I got to work, the poppers would work because they'd warmed up. But I'm not going through that again. These things I know, like I got a Tahoe, it's got the exact same popper in it, it works in 0 degrees, you know, so if I have to drive this in 0 degrees, then I know the doors will pop. And even if it doesn't, it's got this little lever on here. I'm going to hook a cable to that goes inside so that I can pop it, and I'm going to run one outside somewhere to a secret location so that I could get in the case that my battery dies. All right, I'm going to go through real quick how we suicided this. So these doors have this big opening here. This panel right here fits inside of it. We also had to modify the panel, but the panel also houses the window or up and down bracketry. So you can't just delete this, you know, unless you have some other kind of method of rolling the window up and down. So we had to put a little slot in it to accept one of those rollers that go back and forth, but we had to put this plate in here to reinforce the door, because trying to hang a door off of just this thin section right here just wouldn't work. We needed this extra strength, and also the door was pretty twisty. So anyway, what we did was, while the door still had its pins in it from the factory, we swung it open the regular way, cut the those have pivot points in there where it's straight through, so we took a piece of threaded rod and connected them two together, and made a location of, you know, this is how far we could have it apart. And we cut the squares open, stuck the rectangle pieces in there, welded them in, and then we stuck the hinges in, and then we shut the door, and the hinges were sticking out here. So after we shut the door, we marked out around the hinges, cut that out, and then put these, they come with these little C channels, set the C channels in there as deep as they needed to be, welded those in, and you know, we'd already put the hinge pins in this side. So after we got all that welded together, then the door was like fixed. So take the fender off, cut the pins out, pull the pins, and then you was able to open it this way. And obviously there's no weight on it when you do it that way, so the first time you pull it out, it sags. So you got to take those bolts right there and loosen them, tighten them, wiggle it up, down. Maybe it needs out in the bottom, in the bottom, out top, whatever. Adjust it how you need it so that when you close it, it just grazes that right there. So you know it's exactly where it's supposed to be. So that's where we are right now. So now that I got everything swinging the way it's supposed to be, I don't need this, any of this anymore. So I'm going to chop all that off. I do need these because these bolt to my fenders, hold my fenders in place. So I'm just going to chop off the tops and the bottoms. Same thing over here. There's no point grinding all that out of the door. Raise the truck up so that it make that easier to work on. I'm not sitting on the ground. Or if I am sitting on the ground, I can at least get it into my face instead of trying to work on it at my knees. This is my temporary valve setup to raise the truck. It's actually got a controller in there, but it runs off a battery and an air tank and compressors, and I don't have all that hooked up, so I just run it off a shop air for right now. There we go. All right, so exactly how I did the other side was I measured how big this is, and it's 3 3/4 inches. But as you can see here, if you can see, that opening isn't exactly in the middle. So this has got to go in here like this because the striker comes in this way. You know, can't put it in this way, striker won't work. Got to go in this way, and that puts the opening up. So I want this whole thing to be in the middle. I want the striker to be middle of here to here. Now, the striker middle looks like it's exactly 2 inches above this side. So 3 3/4 inches. Let's do this part first. So exactly middle between here and here. Say it's 9 1/4, so that'd be 4 and what's that? 5/8, 4 5/8, yeah. Would be middle. Say 4 5/8 would be right here. So this is exactly middle. Okay, so put this in there like that. You want it to be, the opening is going to be 2 inches below this. And the other half of it is, so the difference between 3 3/4 be 1 3/4. So the top of the opening is at 1 3/4. There you go. So now my opening size, we use freedom units around here, even though millimeters probably would be easier than centimeters. Anywho, on the other side, I cut it down into here. Which this is probably going to be needing to be notched out a little bit at the top. Let's something like that. Now, how deep do we need it? And also, I want these flaps right here. Well, that one's kind of dented. We'll have to straighten that out as best I can, I guess. Good thing only one bolt goes in there. Anyway, the opening fits this. I want these two straps. I'm going to bend them out, and then that's what's going to receive this. So when I stick it in from the back, the bolts are going to go into here. But first thing we got to do is get this hole cut out. And I'm going to go measure the other side to see how big that hole is. 2 3/4 from the edge. Ooh, is that the top edge or the bottom edge? It's the top edge. There we go. So now, there we go. That's gotta go. There we go. Now we got some of this we got to deal with. But as you can see, that fits in there like so. If I could guarantee that these things would work forever, I would just weld this in and not even worry about cutting that out. But I need to have an access panel in the back, so if when these do go out, I can just unbolt them and snatch them out and put another one in. So what I'm doing here is on the sides of this, it's got these little nubs right here, so it doesn't fit through. So I'm going to make a little clearance so that when I stick it in, I can put the nubs through and then pull it into place. There we go. Sorry, y'all are attached to the door. Just checking my clearance. That's good. It's good. Alright, so now I need to make holes in here to match the holes in here. And how I did it on the other side, I just took a piece of tape and stuck it on here like so. All the way down into that crevice, perfectly flat. And I took my hole puncher, it's covered in metal shavings, and punched a hole. Punch another hole. There you go. Now let's do the bottom one. Now, when you pull the tape off and you lay it over top of the other metal, it's obviously going to be a little bit further forward, like so. So your hole, as you can see, is going to be too high. So basically all I do is use the bottom edge of this hole as the punch. I mean, if your metal is thicker, you want to eyeball it, see how far it is, but like I can eyeball through there, use my calibrated eyeball, and see that the bottom of this hole is grazing the top of this hole. So actually, it's coming about right through the middle. The bottom of this hole is going through about the middle of this hole. So that'll be close enough. You can warble it a little. It can have a little bit of play in it. But what I do is just pull that back like so. Pull that back like so. You stick those in here. Get in there. And you got to get it about where you want it. There we go. It's holding on. Let go. There. Nope. Ripped it. Oh no. This one's cooperating. This one is not. Might be too tight there. Let's see. There we go. Now we got it through there. All right, so that's about where I want it to sit. It's in a good spot. Make sure that these are flat on here like you want them. And you take your center punch. You see, just like that, with just those two flaps on there, that thing's pretty rigid. But I'm going to build a piece that fits here, and a piece that fits on top, piece on this side, and piece on this side, box it all in, Probably put some kind of insulation up under there. Let's check the fit. Perfect. All I gotta do is get the striker put on that side. All right, now that I got this in here, bolted in, I warbled the holes out a little bit so that I could slide it, adjust it, grab the striker. We're gonna stick it in here, and this has 2-stage latch, so that's one stage. There's the second stage, so it goes in all the way. And then you just slide that to where it should be closed and tight. And I take my soapstone and trace around it. I don't know exactly. Hold on. It's a little tough to do. All right. So you want to get it in the middle as much as possible. You can also put some wobble in these bolts, but you get your soapstone and just trace around it. Now you got a trace mark. It's got a little bit, let that go. And look at that, our bottom hole is going to end up in this hole. Well, I guess you can't see, you're looking at the sky. Alright, so if you put it there, this hole is going to be okay, but this hole is going to land in there. So I'm going to have to make a filler piece for that and weld it in before I can even drill the holes for this. So we'll do that next. Alright, I got out the high-tech tools, caliper. I'm going to measure this hole right here. Looks like we got 1.7 inches, 1.71 to be exact, but I want it to be a little bit smaller so that it fits in there. So I think we're going to do 1.7. And we're going to use the plasma table I built, and we're going to use the plasma table I built to cut it out of this 18 gauge steel. So we're going to build the piece in Fusion 360 and cut it out with open builds. Let's see, what we want to do is create a sketch. New sketch. I always click on this top right here. And there's where our sketch is going to be. We're going to make a circle. And that was 1.7, so if this is 2 inches, we'll just start right here. And we'll pull it out, and you can go 1.7, hit enter, there's your circle. You can grab your select tool and move it over here to the corner. Click finish sketch, and we want to click in the thing, hit Q, which is in 0.1, enter. Q is extrude. Now you've got a slug or a blank or whatever. If you rotate your axis here, you can see it's actually got some depth to it, like the metal. That makes it easier for the cutout program to know that this is what you want to keep. Alright, so now that we've created our sketch and completed it, we can go to from design to manufacture and setup, new setup. We want to click in this corner here because that's where I want my plasma cutter to start. And set up, we don't select a machine yet.
not going in the garage.
Happy. Happy.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Come sit down.
What are you doing?
Working on a truck. And
The car.
working on a car.
Sheila, get over here.
Happy, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Sheila, Amra.
Sissy.
Why? Go when you go to bed.
Happy, what are you doing?
Here I come.
Better get over there.
Get over here.
Happy,
Go up.
what are you doing?
Working in the garage.
Yes, go color.
There we go. Now all we gotta do is fill in all the open spots. Nice. All right, now all we got left to do is to fill in these pieces with metal so we can box this in and give it some more strength. So actually, I'm kind of surprised how strong it is just like that, but that looks ugly. I don't want to open my door and see that. make it out of metal. Alright, we got everything tacked in. I hooked up my button just to make sure everything works right before we fully weld it. Works pretty good. Alright, now we're just going to weld it all the way in. Knocked it down, the corners down a little bit, make it look a little better with the flap wheel. All I gotta do is throw some paint on it, good and strong. Still working. There we go. Probably gonna get some kind of rubber gasket to put in there, seal it off, maybe keep the wind noise out if it's an issue. But that's about all. I gotta do the other side, throw some paint on this side, finish the other side. I'm sure y'all don't want to watch it a second time, but there you go. Door poppers made out of hatch latches from GM vehicles, SUVs. Works better than any one I've ever bought online. That's 4 door poppers. But hope y'all enjoy this. That's the end of this video. Like, share, subscribe if you want to. Thanks for watching.